I'm trying to not make more my dad died videos. Um, it is true though. How am I not supposed to talk about that in this context? So I don't live in New York City anymore. I don't have an apartment there right now, which is the first time in 10 years. Growing up, the basement became the music room. It's a really special place, but it's also a really stuck space. It was this thing that existed when I was in middle school and has kind of just been allowed to sit and degrade. So I decided to tear the basement apart. So I kind of just started ripping stuff up. And I had a loose plan of. That makes me sound so dumb. I knew there was concrete underneath the, subfloor that my dad had installed in 2003 or something. And I knew there's probably mold. There's this rug that is there a word other than jam? Every musical jam. Yeah. No, being genuine. Yeah, that carpet, if you believe in objects, remembering things or kind of there being some sort of energy imbued in them. It was like every single sound that had happened in that basement had bounced off of that carpet. I don't want to say it was emotional to pull it out, but you start thinking about stuff like that, ripping things out of your childhood home. After I ripped up the carpet, I had actually kind of forgotten there was this other floor that my dad had installed. I think it was supposed to be a weight room at some point. This weird stick-on tile thing. I was a little unexcited for what I was anticipating to find underneath the next layer because I knew it was most likely a pretty noxious mold that arguably a professional should be dealing with. But there was also this kind of morbid curiosity to want to know what had been hiding under there for 2 decades. I cut into the subfloor, kind of expecting to just open a portal to hell. And I don't want to say it wasn't bad. It was still pretty bad, but I was expecting much, much worse. Yeah, and then it's not that complicated after that. It's really just cutting things, ripping things, putting them in a trash bag, repeat. Yeah, I don't know how I'm not supposed to be reflecting. Yeah, I was thinking a lot about each layer I ripped up. The last time that layer had been accessible to, humankind. It was my dad looking at this half-completed subfloor that that was going to solve all of our flooding issues and never get mold. It's weird. He was there. He was the one that installed it, and I, 20 years later, am there on the other end. The time capsule that is this subfloor that my dad sealed shut, and I am now unearthing. The last person to touch these boards was my dad, and he does not exist anymore. How do I not put that in the video? Growing up, the biggest source of conflict between my dad and I was embarking on construction projects together. It's a bit of a trope. Just getting yelled at for holding the flashlight the wrong way or something like that. Countless screaming matches emerged from, supposed attempts at working on the house together. Meeting him at the other end of this floor's lifespan. And I found myself getting pissed at him, in these moments, just being like, why the fuck did you glue and screw this thing, you psycho? You did not need to do this. This is so overbuilt. Why are you making this hard for me? Yeah, it was kind of nice to fight with my dad again. to be like pissed at him for being obsessive and neurotic about a construction project. And that the whole thing, there's something sad about I'm running out of those. You know, as I theoretically do more projects like this around the house, hopefully one that actually benefits my mom and is not just a selfish, weird childhood extension jam room quest. Yeah, these are things that, like, in some cases my dad was either supposed to do, never did, or he did do due to the ceaseless march of time. They have to be redone. The more you do, the less thread you have to connect you back to that initial handyman. It's weird, just little moments like that. I wasn't expecting to feel poetic about ripping up a subfloor. I just get so mad at him sometimes too, where like this is his, you know, this is workbench. This is his domain, and it's chaos. He lived in chaos and he left us with chaos, and we're left with this choice of either we keep around these defunct systems, or we clean them up and we keep losing him in the process. And I'm pissed at him for both. Like, I don't know. I do recognize it's easier to be pissed than sad. And I do think I've been choosing that more. People talk about this thing where the traits you recognize in other people that you also recognize within yourself can sometimes be the most irritating things. Some aspect of you mirrored back and you don't really like what you're seeing. And I just feel like there's so many things like that with my dad. I don't know. I came back up here to Boston and I had all these plans about, you know, projects around the house I was going to do. And, you know, I feel like I inflicted on my family, you know, listening to, like, oh, I'm gonna fix up the basement. I'm going to clean up the entire garage, and and it's just, I'm not doing it. And it's exactly what my dad would do. We were supposed to have a skating rink in the backyard by the time I was in middle school. Still waiting on that. It scares the shit out of me to encounter these things that really bothered me about my dad when I was younger. And now kind of running into the genetic inevitability of these things. There are plenty of things, that sounds conceited. There are things I like about myself that I can tie a string directly to. Like, that's my dad, for sure. But I can do the same thing with things I don't like about myself. And sometimes it feels complicated to examine that relationship when it's not only you have to deal with their, I don't know, bad habits, whatever you want to call it, but they've given them to you. You are them now. And does that invite more frustration, or does that invite sympathy, a little understanding for, I don't know, why they were the way they were? I saw a raccoon in here the other day.